Hi Tenfold, my name is Chelsea Goliath and I need help with last year's November paper 2, question 1.2 and question 2. So I don't know if you're going to see it on my phone, but this is it. That's question 1.2 and then question 2. If you can't see, I'll just put a picture there on the video and I'd really appreciate your help. Thank you.
The question reads, Reggie works as a part-time waiter at a local restaurant. The amount of money in rands he made in tips over a 15-day period is given below. Now, one thing that you need to know here will then be the fact that this represents the number of terms that we have. Remember, we have number of terms. So it means this person, which is Reggie, collected 15 tips, which is what I have there. Now, the first question wants us to find the mean of this data. So what I'm going to do with you guys is I'm going to do it in two ways. One, I'm going to do it on the calculator. Firstly, I'm going to do it manually, so for you. And then the second method is I will then do it on the calculator for you. So manually, what I'm going to have here is I'm going to say this is x bar is equal to, remember, the sum of all the values divided by n. And therefore, what I will then have with this is it will then be equal to, now I'm running away from my data. This is 35, plus 70, plus 75, plus 80, plus 80, plus 90, plus 100, plus 100, plus 105, plus 105 plus 110 plus 110 again plus 115 plus 120 plus 125, and then all of this will then be divided by 15. And then we then try and find the answer from there. So what I'll just do is, trust me, I do know that as mathematicians, we are not really normal up here because we can calculate big numbers. But for now, let's just not show off. Remember, I can show you guys this. I can just add them just now. But I'm just trying to save time and show you that you can use your calculator to your advantage. So the numbers are 25 plus 35, you see I'm making a mistake already. 35 plus a 70 plus 75 plus 80 plus 80 plus this side I have 90 plus 100 plus 100 plus 105, I think. That's supposed to be 105, yes. 105 plus 105 plus 110 is equal to plus, because it might not give me enough space, so I'm just trying to get rid of that. So let me just see something quickly. We ended at 110 and you said that was the answer, plus the last 110 plus 115 plus 120 plus 125. And then the answer will be 1420. So it will be 1420 divided by 15, which will then be equal to, looking at the calculator, the divide by 15 is equal to 94.67. Remember, you round off to 2 decimal places. I think it's 94.67. Let's just make sure that I wrote the correct number. Yes, that's what I have. So what I just did here, guys, is I was just trying to show you how to do it manually, but you can always press your calculator and use the stats option there. So that's what I'm going to do now to answer the subsequent questions, because they're going to depend on what I'm doing on the calculator. So on the calculator, if you were to do this, first you need to make sure that your calculator is in stat mode. So you go to mode setup, you take option number 2, which is stats. Right now we're talking about 1 minus variation, because we're mentioning the issue of variance. Remember, number 2 is all about regression, but we're still on number 1. This will be then the data that you're supposed to fill in here. So it's 35 is equal to a 70 is equal to, and then 75 is equal to 80 is equal to another 80 is equal to a 90 is equal to 100 equal to 100, equal to 105, equal to 105, equal to 105. No, not 105 again, but 110. There's only two 105s. 110, 110, 115, 120, and then 125. And then you see it will say 15 terms there, then you just press all clear. For now, you will then go to mode, shift, number 1 for stat. We're talking about variation. The mean is that one, which will be option number 2. It's 94, that. So I was just showing you how to go about doing it with the calculator. The second question then will depend on the calculator, because we normally don't calculate the standard deviation using the normal manual method. Calculate the standard deviation of the data. I also press all clear again. Please don't press the on button because it erases everything. All clear just means you are minimizing it. Then shift, number 1 again, we're still on 4. Remember, standard deviation will be number 3. Number 4 is estimated standard deviation. So I'm going to take number 3, which is equal to 22,69. So standard deviation is equal to 22, I think that was what, 69, right? Okay, 69. And that's what I will have. Remember, this is in rands. Third question will be, Mary also works part-time as a waitress at the same restaurant. Over the same 15-day period, Mary collected the same mean amount in tips as Reggie, but her standard deviation was 14 rand. Now, remember the standard deviation we had previously. It was 22 rand and 69 cents. However, now it's 14. So if it's 14, it says use the available information to comment on the total amount in tips that they each collected over the 15-day period. Now, what is happening here, guys, if you reduce, if your mean, not your mean, the mean is the same, that's one thing for sure. So that's fine. But now what differs now will then be the standard deviation. If the standard deviation is decreased, it means that the variance or the variation of the numbers will be small. So she collected the same tips, but the same tips not meaning the same amount. So the variation of the tips will then mean that Mary collected less amount of tips. I hope you guys can understand that. So the total amount in tips, it means that the total amount was not necessarily the same as what Reggie collected, because if the standard deviation is less, it means the variation of the numbers that Mary collected are less. So that's what you then need to look at when you're commenting on the issue of total amount in tips.